Hello, Empowered Vitae. Well, I should say, hey, welcome to Empowered Vitae. I'm glad you're here. And hope you're having a great day so far. So today I want to talk about who I am, my experience, the journey that I've been through, and just to give you some background and give you some insight as to why this channel was created, why I'm passionate about people, and just really want to set that foundation. I think it'll paint a clear picture as far as how this channel was created and the kind of vision that I wanted to cast for the future ultimately. And so I just want to give a quick warning to the audience, because what I'm about to get into is going to be pretty deep. And so if there are any children around, or if there's any, the topics that we're going to get into today are going to be really deep and really suitable for a mature audience. And so just want to give you a fair warning before we get into it. So let me tell you about my life. So as you can see, there's some bullet points, and we're just going to get into all the junk. We're going to unpack all the baggage of the stuff and the junk and the mud that I got myself into. And this has been an incredible journey of an experience. And I just figured, I was like, hey, I have to document this. I've got to put this out there. And hopefully this will make a positive impact for anyone out there that's listening, anyone out there that's going through a spiritual battle, anyone that's trying to figure out their way. And so I guess, where do we start? We can start at middle school. So the tough battles that I've experienced had a lot to do with figuring out who I was, what God had planned for me, what was my purpose. And I think when you're young, when you're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, you're just trying to figure it out. Meanwhile, you have so much noise going on in the background. You have, you're just taking it all in. But there are all these questions, especially when you're going through puberty. You're like, well, how does my body work? Or, as a young guy, I'm asking myself, well, how do I, um, how do I get a girlfriend? Or how, um, how do I don't know, gain influence? Or how do I, you know, become more cool? Because I don't think it's a very messy task trying to find your identity. And, you just, I think for me, I literally searched everywhere. I looked to video games, which was fun. I'm not gonna downplay video games. I enjoyed a good part of my teenage life was dedicated to playing games like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. Before that, Counter-Strike Condition Zero on the PC. Because it was a good escape. It was a good way of just like being able to have fun, and you're getting, you're just kind of like going into this virtual world, and you're part of this community, and it's all happening in real time. And first person shooters were just like super, super amazing. But meanwhile, in my personal life, I remember, going on the bus, typical average teenager, going to middle school, going to high school, listening to music, that I remember on my 16th birthday, I got like a Philips MP3 player, and it was awesome. And then I got a PlayStation Portable PSP. Had loads of fun with that. And when you're young, you just get so much gratification from that. And I think and school was pretty awesome too, because I was like, I used to, elementary school for me was just tough. It was a struggle because I did not fit in. My idea or perception of school was just showing up and having fun. It wasn't until like middle school that I started to understand, like, oh, there's kind of have to play the game. You kind of have to, participate in order to get results. But did I know the, the, was there I don't know, was there any ambition beyond that? Not really. I think at the end of the day, I just wanted to please my parents and get good grades. And that's basically what I did. And I felt like I was winning in my world. I was like, hey, life is great. Just as a young person, just growing up, and felt like I was doing something. I was noticing that, hey, when I studied, did my homework, if I paid attention in class, that, that taught me something. Taught me a lesson about, focus and perseverance, being organized. There's all these, skills that you pick up that aren't wasted. They're definitely transferable from one age to the next. as you grow into adulthood. And so, but as far as my social life was concerned, I mean, man, I think I got so much gratification from just just being able to, you know, hey, school life is great. I've got technology. I've got, at the time our family had, I think, we had a home, we had a computer, we had internet, video games. I had so much, looking back, to distract my, self from having real relationship with friends, and I didn't know what that was like. I think I was, just so tuned into, what I was emotionally attached to, and at the time it was just video games because it made me feel good. Our family went to church, and yeah, I would go to church and I'd have my PSP. I always had something to gratify me, to take me away from, boredom, so to speak. I made sure that I took care of my needs, like my need for gratification. And that went on for years, for years and years and years. Didn't think there was anything wrong with that. I think deep down I knew I was missing something, but I had more than enough things to fill the void with. Again, the video games, music, technology, internet. And my mind has changed so much, as I've matured. And it's funny also that, age doesn't necessarily make you more wiser. When I look back, I can say that, going through tough times, but when you shift your thinking, and you can either do one or two things. You can get mad and say, well, I'm not being gratified, so this experience sucks, and I'm just because it's not fitting my agenda, and so life sucks, and you can fall into depression, or you can just become bitter. You can nurse this bitterness and hate towards not being, that your so-called joy is being robbed from you. Or you can do the mature thing, which is I am learning now, that those whatever those signals that are that you're getting, that might be hard to deal with, might feel like lack, or I guess one way I can describe it is when your phone is on 2% and you don't have access to a charger, and so your phone dies, and then you're just bruh, and your gratification is cut off, and so now you have to engage, in another way, in a human being. Pretty inconvenient, right? So I guess that that leads us into high school, and not much has changed. It's just doing the same thing, and I took AP classes, advanced placement classes, honors classes, I guess to give me more gratification. I guess make me feel better about myself. You know, I can accomplish these big things, and I can pour my energy into it, and you know, then I can shift gears and distract myself and play video games. Um, still, still not, um, you know, taking the risk, taking the step to engage socially. I've missed out on many Friday nights, Saturday nights, weekends where I could have hung out, I could have gone to parties, I could have, you know, uh, and when I mean parties, or when I think of a crowd, but I'm thinking of a more like positive crowd. I'm not thinking of a even at that age, I didn't want to hang out with people who were up to no good. And even today, that's hard to find. How do you find a circle of people, or how do you find friends that who inspire you, or who want to be positive? And high school can be tough. I look back now, and I mean, today I have a church family. I've been going to this church for I want to say going on 4 years now, and I have amazing friends. I serve in the church, and I'm just, kind of, in a sense, learning things that I feel like I should have known. And it wasn't easy, getting used to church culture, and learning to navigate socially, because I would say a big part of my life was built around my own gratification, and technology gave me that. And in a way, I think, my education, or my performance in school, gave me that. But I remember this one day particularly. I think it was an awards night. I want to say it was senior year, and I just remember just like feeling just so empty. Kind of like, I remember I joined cross country during my senior year. It was the one and only year I did sports, and I wished I had done it sooner, because it was the first time I felt like I was part of a group, and that I had something in common. And it wasn't related to, grades. And it helped me form a more well-rounded idea of who I was. I think running, there's something about being with a team, that just makes that'll teach you things, that sports can teach you things that you can't necessarily learn, in a classroom environment, or by a school's curriculum. And I'm so grateful for that. I tell students, especially in high school, like, join a sport, join a club, find something that you can be passionate about. Or even better, find time to, nurse and take care of and to cultivate a passion while you're young, before you have to deal with bills, while you're enjoying the covering of, say, your family, before you're thrown into the real world. And I'm passionate about this, because, I feel like every one of us have gifts and talents, and if we learn to recognize them, and we learn to, use our talents and gifts, because it's kind of like a language that you're trying to learn, but if you don't use it, you lose it. And otherwise, you'll just kind of just go through the motions in life and do what everybody else is doing. But I think there's a price to pay when we don't figure out our passions and we don't figure out what drives us, what our talents are. I think that gets us closer to our destiny and our purpose in life, which I believe everybody has. Everybody has a uniqueness that God, before we were born in this earth, knew us, created us, and gave us dreams and talents that would make room for us, that if we were to exercise them, that the closer we get to our destiny, the closer we get to our talents and gifts, that we would not only become abundant, I would say abundance and prosperity would be a byproduct from that. But your idea, your definition of productivity, would be tied to your passion, because your passion would drive you, and you would literally have fun doing what you were designed to do. And so, going back to that day, the awards night, where, I think I received some rewards, but it really didn't matter to me. My mind was elsewhere, and I just felt empty. And I was like, what? I'm just not satisfied. I'm just, these, school and accolades, and I feel like I missed the mark. I feel like I didn't really accomplish anything. So, I ended up joining the Marine Corps, because I didn't know what the hell. I mean, I did join, send applications to colleges, in my state, but I just didn't feel, at ease about the whole thing. So I just ended up joining the Marine Corps. I just felt like I need to find myself, which I think, looking back, was, I could have easily just, took a couple years off from having to do school, or taking the pressure off of myself of trying to go to college or anything, and just really, finding a good church, a church home, which is something that I'm very passionate about. And it's not my idea. That's God's idea. It's God's plan. The local church. That's what Jesus wanted. The church is still alive. The body of Christ is still alive, and there is no other plan but that, the church. The church is made of people. I should make that clear. People that recognize and honor and worship God and recognize Scripture, the Bible, God's Word, as truth. And we celebrate Jesus Christ for giving us freedom, for giving us salvation. And so we come together always reminding ourselves, each other, lifting each other up in prayer, having fellowship during Sundays, during a day where we come together and worship, and we come together and we recognize and praise and hear messages from pastors and leaders and receive prayer for our needs, saying with our actions that, God provides for our needs. God cares about us. The church is a response of honor and recognition. And I can just go on and say so many good things of how the church has blessed me in the past 4 years. So yeah, I mean, I wish I could do it all over again. Only because I'm like, logically I'm like, okay, I could have avoided a lot of mistakes. I could have avoided a lot of trouble, but that's part of the reason why I created this channel and this space and this video, to put that out there that, I, my testimony, I can attest to the power of God and His wisdom, because it's real. It's the truth. There's nothing like it. And Jesus is life. He is the truth. He is the way. I'm just burdened in a way, in a sense, to say this, to put that out there. It's not, our identity is not found in technology or gratification. Social media wasn't as pumped up on steroids as it is now, but I was still lost, and I didn't know my way. And the church gave me so many things back, that the enemy took from me, that the devil took from me. Because we don't fight against flesh and blood, but we fight against, spirits and principalities and high places. There is a unseen world that is battling against the flesh, with Christ's consciousness, the message of Christ, and there's a battle happening against